Well, pleasant good morning, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of the PR Man and the Coach Talking Ball on the Ballfather podcast presented by the Sports Keeter. I'm your man, Reggie Roberts, longtime NFL communications executive, and we're joined by, brought back by popular demand, our man, MLB analyst, my main man in Atlanta, Chris Domino. Chris, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Listen, I don't mind being labeled a little bit, but I promise you, come the NFL season, I'm going to have a lot to say too. This NFL season to me is going to shape up in this town in Atlanta and what's going on in this division. And we can't find. Listen, I'll ask you. We can't find 32 quarterbacks in the entire world. They will go to the ends. They'll circle the world to find. We can't find 32 guys. So when we get to the NFL season, you and I are going to have some fun.
It'll be great. I was on the phone with someone about that just yesterday about all the news, and it's so funny. From I'm going to say probably until the start of this, till the Super Bowl ended, until like right this very moment, there's been so much news. There's been so much information. I mean, I read just this morning where everybody in Indianapolis is ready to go out and buy tickets and buy playoff tickets because they're saying Anthony Richardson has showed pocket presence and he's shown a proclivity to understand the offense. Hey, hold on. Let's just pump the brakes. It's May. He's running around in T-shirt, in shorts. Nobody's running at him. No one's trying to tackle him. I mean, let's just pump the brakes on how good this guy is going to be after just 13 starts in college.
But let's talk about how brilliant the NFL is. They are truly 365, 24/7. Push the combine back, push the draft back, get in the news more. Draft 4 quarterbacks in the first round with another guy sitting in the green room having to wait till the second day. Their storylines trump everybody. If everybody wants to know why they're king, it's because they grab headlines when they're not supposed to. You got a kid winning the underwear Olympics running around, and all he did is learn something on a board, run out to the field and not screw it up. And all of a sudden, that's like front page news, and people are saying, Indianapolis, that could be the city. They're brilliant at it. They do some stuff wrong, but they are brilliant at this.
Let me give you this. You're right about that because when I worked there, Joe Brown, my boss, used to talk all the time about we want to steal space from Major League Baseball. We want to steal space from the NBA. We want to steal space from hockey. And they came up with all these rules: NFL Player of the Week, NFL Player of the Month, NFL Special Teams. I mean, all of these things.
That's it.
We used to trumpet things that are going on in the minority community now in the Hispanic community with Hispanic players and Hispanic Week and players who played from historically black colleges. We did everything. We did all of these things when I worked there. This is back in 1990. So I tell you what, they've only got taking the draft on the road. They've only gotten better at it, Chris. They've only gotten better at it.
Yep. And again, it's why you can say you want to be king. Look, baseball, everybody's trying to steal a little bit from everybody. Take the good ideas, try to throw away the bad ones. But the one thing that baseball hasn't done, they're trying, you got to create superstars. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to stick on every guy. You can't go pick a slappy because he had a good week and all of a sudden try to say, well, he's the next one. It doesn't work that way. Too many games, the season's too long. Back of the baseball card usually wins out, but it's over a number of years. What baseball is doing better, what they are doing better, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the game, they have figured out that by playing everybody, changing the schedule finally, by universal DH, by the rule changes, speed it up, more balls in play, let left-handed hitters actually hit singles and doubles instead of, one hoppers to a third baseman who's playing between first and second. This is the best that baseball has done in 30, 40 years. We went from Bud Selig going like this in an all-star game after a tie. Oh, what to do? Oh, I know what we'll do. Well, if you win the All-Star game, you get home field advantage in the World Series. I could have walked up to a kindergarten class and said, does this make sense to you? And they would have been, no. I said, well, here's the problem. The guy in charge is the guy who goes, he's sitting in a box. He's on national TV. I don't know. The one thing, I don't care if you're smart, dumb, you got to look like you're in control when you're in a position that you need to look like you're in control and you're a leader. That, to me, look, I'm not thrilled with a lot of what Rob Manfred does. And I do find it amazing because you know this from sports. If something works, people are out in the forefront and they're like, hey, man, I got to step 3 steps in front of you because I got to let them believe that I was the one who came up with this. Rob Manfred is like, break the glass. Hey, we did something good. People like it. Break the glass. Here he is. Look, I'm the commissioner. I bring you bigger bases. Our bases is the size of pizza boxes. I give this to you. Do
Well,
anything.
I tell you what. Now, talking about create stars, there's one in your town that probably in 2018 when I did a 2 year hitch at Disney. My oldest son, who follows sports almost as closely as I do, called me and he said, "Dad, you got to get out there. You got to get out there early, Dad, and see this guy, Ronald Acuna Jr." Who is? I'm like, who is this guy? He goes, "Dad, you're gonna be covering the Braves, part of your job." And I read it. He goes, "You got to get it there early." So I'm thinking, okay, I'll not go out there. I didn't get to the park. I think I may have told you the story. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. You got to be kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, got to hit 418 during the spring in the Grapefruit League, led the Grapefruit League, but not only was he hitting moon shots, he was the balls going in center field. He's like there on a trot catching balls. Basket catch, just making it look so easy. Now I read somewhere where this guy's on track for 40, 60. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Never been done before? Give me know about that.
Yeah, there's a 30-50 club, 30 home runs, 50 steals. Two guys are in it. There's never been a 30-60. They call it homers and heists. He wants to, and by the way, if you're the only guy who's done something, that's not a list. It's just a name. Two is hardly a list, but if you've done it and nobody else has done it in 150 years of baseball, you're pretty special. I'll give you one about him. There were 7 home runs hit last week that were 450 feet or more. He hit 3 of them. Now, they don't give you more runs. And look, he pimps every once in a while a little bit too much for me. If you're down 6-1 and you hit a solo, Rob Manfred, you want a rule? I'll give you a rule. Here's a rule. If you hit a home run with your team down more than 4 runs and you haven't brought it within 1, you can watch it. I'll let you even bat flip, but you can't do any dances between home and home. Like you're not allowed to do sort of a 2-step boogie right around third base if you're down. It's like in the NFL world, guy gets a first down, his team's down 3 scores. What's he do? First down. Nobody cares, brother. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Go look at the scoreboard.
Correct. Yeah, he's special though. I mean,
he's talented.
I mean, and then the Braves are playing good. I mean, you took 2 or 3 from the Rangers. Your catcher's playing really good.
Yeah.
Give me. It looks like they're going to be a cakewalk to win in their sixth division title and just breeze to the playoffs.
So here are rich man problems. They've got the best record in the National League, but it wasn't a great road trip. They come back and win. That was the type of win they've had the last few years to win a division. Close and late is all I care about in baseball. I don't care about run differential. I don't care about whips, BABIPs, all the numbers that everybody's got to prove they're smarter. So I'm going to come up with another formula that nobody will understand. If you can play close and late, score late, bullpen good, I think you've got a shot not only every night, but you've got a shot to be a team that's going to be dangerous in the playoffs. They won that game last night in old school fashion. The problem is, and again, rich man problems, 40%, 2/5 of your starting rotation is shut down. Kyle Wright, 60-day IL. I don't know, Max Fried. Look, I don't believe that it's sooner instead of later. So these are no longer emergency starts by Schuster and Dodd. These are starts. Michael Soroka may be coming up sooner instead of later. So they have things. They have things. Marcell Ozuna was awful until at least his one-trick ponyisms jumped in. He can hit home runs. So now he gets to play DH every once in a while. Sean Murphy will get some of those at-bats, but at least he's got he serves a purpose. He can hit home runs. That wasn't the case for the first month, and it looked like it was going to be worse. When they don't have a great road trip, or when Spencer Strider gives up 3 runs or 4 runs in 5 innings, people go, "Oh God, what happened?" Well, you don't have to do that today because they came back and won the baseball game. You're relying on a couple of guys to do too much. See Ronald Acuna, and that gets a little bit dangerous. You'd like it to be spread out over 26 guys, whoever they are active that day. The good news is you have enough guys who can step up and be the guy on a given night.
You speak to Anthopoulos a lot. Do you trust him, Chris? You think you trust him with what he's doing? You trust him?
Yeah, I do. Listen, implicitly. I'll give you 2. Look, they're not all pearls. Charlie Morton was signed to $20 million, and we couldn't believe it. It was like $20 million. Who the hell was going to give him close to that? Charlie Morton right now has been a godsend. $20 million. So I stopped May 1st. I stopped saying I will never talk about Charlie Morton's contract again. I'm breaking my own rule here, but for a reason. It's not my money, and I don't think it stopped them from doing anything else. Like I say, a bad contract is one you can't trade. or it's one that precludes you from doing something else. Charlie Morton, he don't look his age the last couple of starts. And in a world where the bullpen needs a little bit of rest, he went 6, he went 7. And I don't care what you're paying a guy like that, especially with 40% of your rotation down. He's a godsend who's worth every penny to pitch to the contract. I don't care anymore. He's got to pitch. He's got to pitch well enough where he's not a problem, where he's actually solving problems. And if he can go 6 and 7 innings at this point, he solves problems.
Well, a couple of things with regards to the Braves. They've always had really good pitching. They've always had really good defense. And the one guy there who I think still doesn't get anywhere near the credit that he deserves as a baseball lifer is the manager. Why don't people think that he's as good as he really is? Why don't he get the credit he deserves?
I don't think he overmanages, and in a good way. I think there's sometimes with the bullpen we kind of ask questions. The other day, this kid Schuster had 66 pitches. He gave up 3 runs in the fourth, had a clean fifth. Why didn't you keep him in the game? I would have kept him in the game, especially with my bullpen. Maybe he took him out. First guy he brings in gives up 3 runs. Now, instead of blaming the guy who gave up 3 runs, we'll get to him. We blame the manager for a decision that he made. So that's how the game goes when you play 162 of them. What I love
Yeah,
about him is he's got a coaching staff that he trusts. He
right.
lets men be men. There is not a turd in this clubhouse, and that's an Alex Anthopoulos thing. Now, look, there are personalities, but it's not. There's nothing problematic. Even when Marcelo Zuna, bad month of April. Oh God, they got to release this guy. There was nothing that indicated he was problematic. That comes from Brian Snicker. You can't be problematic around here, even if you're good. We'll tell you a couple of things behind a closed door. If you're not good, you better not be not good and then a problem on top of that. So that's what I like about him. Everybody knows where they stand with him. There's no goofiness. There's no one day I'm up, one day I'm down. He doesn't kill
Yeah,
players in the media. As a guy in our business, I kind of like him too once in a while because I root for storylines and a good old fashioned sit that guy down, pull him out of the middle of a game. And it's happened a couple of times with him. We don't get a lot of that around here, but I'm okay with it.
you're on with the PR man, the coach talking ball on the Ballfather podcast presented by Sportskeeda. We're quarter of the way through, and I looked up this thing this morning where CBS has a thing where they've kind of given people grades. Obviously,
Yeah.
they've given out 1A obviously to the Rays, but I tell you what, have you looked at that pitching staff who's just been racked with injuries? I mean, have you looked
I
at some of
know.
those?
I
I
know.
mean, they're Chris. I mean, I know that they're 32-12, but moving forward, I mean, come on, how do you sustain it with all the guys on the shelf now?
Yeah, there comes a point where there's no more rabbits in the hat. Now,
Right.
they're an incredible organization. Here's the thing. So let's go over a couple of things. The highest payroll in baseball, the New York Mets are under 500. It's third highest payroll in baseball, San Diego, they're under 500. So let's put this in perspective. The Pittsburgh Pirates have a better record than both the Mets and the Padres. The Mets and the Padres are basically the Detroit Tigers when it comes to wins and losses. Roll that around your head. Here's the difference. They might have money to fix it, throw a wallet at it at the trade deadline. I don't know if Tampa can do that. I don't think Pittsburgh can do that. And I think that's sort of the difference why when you go, how does the first and third payroll team? Justin Verlander got booed off the mound at Citi Field the other day. Why? Because he's getting paid $43 million in his first appearance at Citi Field in a Met uniform. Met fans, they're pissed at him for that day, but they're pissed at everything. So they booed him. So when you want to talk about the state of the game, I agree with you. Tampa's going to have to find a little fairy dust because the good news is when you build up a lead like that, those wins are in the bank. Nobody can withdraw those.
Right. Right.
Sustainability and getting healthy enough to make a push in October becomes the problem for them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. If you look at the league right now, I mean, which team do you think? And I think it's the upper Midland Mets need to pick it up. I mean, they completely need to. All the noise they made in the offseason, big, huge payroll. Scherzer's been terrible. Sterling Marte's been terrible. I mean, 21 and 23, six and a half out of first. I mean, what's happened there?
So they're the epitome of, good for them. It's 162 because they get a chance to either fix it, get healthy, fix it, get hot. Pete Alonso helps you win 3 out of 5 games. Scherzer and Verlander actually at some point go back to back with starts, and they look dominant or at least good enough to certainly get on a little bit of a streak. Reggie, it's hard to streak when you're a team like that. San
Yeah.
Diego, for whatever reason, for as many guys as are dangerous in that lineup, they can't find a way to get three of them hot on the same night to win. Juan Soto starts hitting and they're still not winning games. That's a bad sign. So I think both of those teams, it's sort of like a horse race where as long as you're not parked on the rail with five to your side where you can't get out and all of a sudden find that third lane, three wide, baseball gives you an opportunity to be parked seventh and then nobody really blocks you from going three wide. So you can get to that turn and down the stretch. Baseball says, I'll forget the first 120 if you
Right.
give me a great last 40. As
Yeah.
long as nobody secretariats you with 23 lengths, you can catch people in baseball. In
Right.
football, it gets down to numbers. Even in basketball, there's a certain point where you go, shit, we're going to play the playing game.
Right.
We ain't going to be one of the top eight. We're going to have to play a playing game. Baseball gives you, with more wild card teams than ever before, they give you an opportunity to catch up.
You're a numbers guy. Let me give you this one. I saw
Yeah.
this morning. Previous 81 games, the Mets were 0-81 when trailing by 3+ runs or more going into the ninth inning. Okay, 0-81, and before Pete Alonso hits the ball out of the yard yesterday. By the way, I had no idea that Pete Alonso was from Tampa until like a couple of weeks ago. Someone told me that he's from Tampa. I had no
He
idea.
ain't paid yet either. For all the money they've doled out, he hasn't been paid yet. I don't know what
Wow.
they're going to do, but he is not. He's the guy that doesn't have the long-term contract in his back pocket. Now, again, keep hitting. Don't worry about it. You're making 14, whatever it is this year. You can survive. Go get the money, keep hitting, and become a big favorite in New York, where it's almost like the owner has to give you the money. New York is one of those cities, by the way. The fans will dictate every once in a while, not often in sports. Does my owner have to pay that guy? If you lead the charge, if you come up big in October, Pete Alonso will end up with a longer term deal. Now, he won't get as much or as many years, maybe, because I think we're market correcting some of this
Right.
stuff.
Right.
But 0-81, that's my close and late thing. Uh, that is like it's almost impossible to be considered a good team, a playoff contending team, and be
Right.
0 for anything, let alone 0 for 81.
We're finishing up on the PR man, the coach talking ball, the Ballfather podcast, presented by Sports Kita. Let's talk a little bit about what happened in that Yankees Jays series. I mean, they're playing the final game today, 6:30, whatever it is, getaway game, and I think the Yankees go to Cincinnati for 3. You know, Domingo Herman, he's an enigma for me. He's up, he's down, he's really really good. They're checking your hand. They did it in sometime in April. He
Yep.
said it's right. They said, tell me what you make of that.
So what was interesting is, yeah, he had been on the double secret probation list, and the
Sure.
world saw it. So now you have to be a little bit cleaner. So it's 3 perfect innings. Now here's the thing: old guys out there might remember the George Brett Pine Tar game. What happens
Sure.
is George Brett hits a big home run in Yankee Stadium, and oh look, it's a big home run. Well, Billy Martin knew for months that bat that Brett has used is illegal because the pine tar can't be bigger than the width of home plate. So you don't do that at the beginning of a game. You wait for the moment where something actually happens, and then you go, oh, hold on. They measure it. Boom, no home run. George Brett comes crazy. Basically wanted to beat up a whole stadium. In this case, 3 shutout scoreless innings. And if I'm the guy on the other side, I know the umpires are going to do it. They're going to check. It's mandatory. But if I'm the guy on the other side, I go, something's up with him. Don't you remember this is the guy who? And then they show like a little thing on his pants. It looked
Right.
like, and then you go, are we that stupid now? Like, are we absolutely believing that we can blatantly? That's like your kids coming in. They got chocolate on their face. Who ate the candy? I didn't eat the candy. No, no,
I didn't
no. I'm
even care.
asking you
I
again.
don't know.
Who ate the
I don't
candy?
know.
I don't know who ate the candy.
I don't
I
know.
didn't eat it. Throw your hands up. All of a sudden, everybody's butt sealed. I don't know.
Right.
So then they busted him, and they said, no, no, no. You're one of the guys who can't. I can't give you the second time. And if it's rosin and sweat, you didn't do a good enough job of asking or doing what we asked you to do, or not even asked, told you what to do, clean it up.
Unbelievable. It's just, I mean, not only has he put the team in a really bad spot. I mean,
Yeah.
10 days is a long time with that bullpen. As hurt as they are, they got Severino. They may get Severino back in Cincinnati. I keep hearing that, but they had another guy go down there the night. I mean, 10 days in baseball is an eternity for a guy to miss. That's 2 starts.
You're a bad teammate. That's
Right.
what I think. John Morant, you're a bad teammate. There are guys you go, what can you control? There was an accident is called an accident because it was an accident. It was unavoidable. It couldn't be
Right.
helped. Nobody had a play in this, like a
Right.
true accident. These
Right.
aren't accidents. Stupidity is not an accident. Like,
It's the flip.
seriously, it's not an accident. You're not allowed to go, me? Yeah, you. You can't do stuff the second and third time and then play the what?
And then the explanation was just absolutely just ridiculous. Well, it's only rosin and then tobacco. No, tobacco doesn't stick to your pants like that. It looked like some sort of glue, like gorilla glue adhesive. It just looked bad. It just
Reg,
looked.
I'm going to tell you a story. In the mid 80s, I would sit around with my buddies, and I'm not telling you I'm proud of this, but let's just say I'd sit around with my buddies and we have stupid conversations. You eat some pizza, you have a couple of drinks, you have done. I swore in the mid 80s I could rob a bank and get away with it. And I told him, I said, I'm going to go 7 states over. I'm going to have lifts on. I'm going to have, whatever. I said, I could rob a bank. You know what I know now? I can't rob a bank. There's cameras
Yeah,
everywhere. There's
right.
intelligence. There's things that they can do now that they couldn't have done in the 80s. These guys, John Moran, this guy, Herman, do you not know the world is watching? Like, this isn't Big Brother anymore. We're telling you, this isn't nefarious. There is a camera everywhere. There's a microphone most places. I'm sorry. Like, the difference between stupid and dumb, like, there is a difference. There is a difference. Dumb is you don't have a capability. That's
Right.
dumb. Stupidity is you choose not to figure out something. You choose
Yeah.
not to be
Yeah.
better or smarter than you are. That's
Yeah.
sports now. There's a camera everywhere.
I think just not to mix it up, but the John Morant, and we talked about that at nauseum too, with our NBA analyst on
Yeah,
the Sports Ballfather podcast. And the one thing I will say about that is this: I mean, I'm a big proponent of giving guys the benefit of the doubt, but as you well know, since you and I worked in the town together for 10 years, I mean, we kind of went through that same sort of thing in
sure.
2005, 2006, and it's all related. This is just one thing. When Michael got in trouble in Atlanta, there was the watch incident at the airport. There
Right.
was the blowing off the U.S. congressman. I don't know if you know that blew off a U.S. congressman. That was a. Then there was the water bottle thing. Then there was some internal stuff inside the building, things that nobody really knew. But if you were a guy like you, an insider, you kind of knew. Well, I'm hearing the guy showing up, 2 minutes before the quarterbacks meeting started. Well, I'm here. All of that happened. All of that stuff happened. But the problem is, and Michael, and here's what I feel bad about. I'm hoping that this guy doesn't lose at everything like Michael did before
Yeah.
he gets it. This
Right.
guy, this guy's contract is $231 million if he earns every part of it. 194 of it guaranteed. But for some reason, he thinks he's a hoodlum. He thinks he grew up in Bankhead, and he didn't. Okay. And
Nope.
here's the other part. He somehow thinks that he's bigger than the brand, and nobody is bigger
Oh.
than the brand. Nobody.
He's lucky that David Stern isn't still the commissioner. May he rest in peace. Because Adam
That,
Silver, I like. I think he's got the most potential to be a guy who doesn't just show up when something's good. Now, how hard he puts his foot down on this one is going to be really interesting because I think this is the next step in how people perceive Adam Silver. Reg, all I'll tell you is this, no doubt about it. If you get caught doing something dumb the first time you've done something dumb, you're unlucky. You're unlucky. Buzzard's luck. When they tell you they take your money, we're not on double secret probation. We're on the public knows probation. You've got problems. Now, do I think some of them are solvable? Yeah. Do I think that you have to want to be? When I hear and I'm reading that there are gangs who are now pissed at this guy because their whole thing is, oh, what did you do? You smoked a little weed as a teenager? You think you're going to flash gang signs? You don't screw around with those people. Like,
no,
you just don't want to play a game where I'm hearing other people say, gang members say, you are not in that life. And I will say, I read something from a guy who said, I know I've been in prison. I know I've made bad decisions. He said, you cannot try to pretend to be in that
Right.
life because
Right.
somebody's going to step up to you at that point and say, prove it. This is a
Right.
gang member saying somebody's going to. So I don't know who his friends are. I don't know if he has real friends. I don't know if they're just on the payroll. I don't know what his family situation is. I don't want to say I don't care, but I don't care. I do know this. They have told you, and by the way, JJ Redick's saying, well, what are you talking about? That's too much. He's got a right to hold a gun. Yeah, but he has an employer.
That's correct.
Like your employer is allowed to tell you what you can and can't do.
That's correct. That's correct. It's like I just tell guys all the time. Guys just come in and complain to me. The coaches' wives complain to me about the media, the big bad media. They're writing things about my husband. They're writing things about his team, and he's getting blamed. And I walked in. I said to this one wife. I said this one to him. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, where do you live? She goes, you mean? I said, your house. Where's your house? She says, we live in Sugarloaf. I said, oh, okay. I said, so you're mad at Matt Winklejohn, and you're mad at Terrence Moore because they wrote we got our butt kicked 48-0. We gave up a bunch of points, and they wrote how bad we played. I said, let me ask you this. I said, let me tell you something. Without those media guys that you hate so much, okay, it would be 11-on-11 at Gwinnett Central High School with no money and nobody's watching and nobody's going to be living in that house and nobody's going to be getting paid. Okay, that's just the reality. If you don't want to coach in the big time and get the criticism, go coach Pee Wee football and don't worry about it. Same thing with Ja. If you want to be a hoodlum, okay, get back the money, go play at the park. You carry as many guns you want, but you work for
Right.
You work for a brand. You work for $1 billion business. That business has rules. That business has sponsorship. That business has marketing people. That business has contracts. It's a business. They have a certain standard that they want the athletes who work in that business to conduct themselves at. Either you can adhere to that standard or you can go do something else.
Okay? It's a
Okay.
voluntary endeavor. Playing is a voluntary endeavor. That's what it is. It's a well-paid voluntary endeavor, but it's a voluntary endeavor. I'll finish up with this. The NFL just did $5 billion more in contracts. $5 billion. Literally, recently, $5 billion. $110 million for a game in December. $110 million as a one-off for a playoff game. Peacock is now involved. I don't know. People are asking, like, what is Peacock? Do I have it? I promise you do. You have Apple TV too, or you can get it. Whatever. They've got to figure out to let the masses know. Amazon. Well, Thursday night numbers were good, but they weren't better. Oh, maybe people don't know who you are. Don't worry. Your product is good enough. What you can't do with any of these products, you can shoot feathers off the golden goose. You can. You can nick it. Boom. There go a couple of feathers. You can't give it a kill shot. You can't hit the golden goose in the heart. And that's what you can't get people fed up enough with who you are, who they perceive you to be at times, right or wrong. You can't give them an opportunity to not want to be with you, to watch you, to play fantasy football, to
Right.
watch a baseball game, playoff games on a day where there's college football on a Saturday in October. You can't do enough where you hack enough people off where that $5 billion isn't even a chance. You have no reality to that. That's why there are rules. That's why you can't do anything you want. This isn't the purge. We're not saying, hey, 6 days a year, go do what you want. No one cares.
Last thing, we're gonna leave you. Give me your take on the Blue Jays manager who loves the sound of his own voice, for crying out loud. With the whole Aaron Judge thing with the guy looking in, gamesmanship goes on in Major League Baseball. Give our subscribers what you think took place when Judge is up the plate with the bat and he's looking over towards down first baseline.
I'll tell you what happens. Either the catcher who's got the pitch comm, I think he wears it on his knee, but he's given location with his fist. You keep your legs too open. First base coach sees it. Fine. That's not cheating. I know what cheating is. Cheating is using something outside of the human ability to pick up on stuff. The Blue Jays pitcher came out and said, I was tipping my pitches. Now, I don't care. Aaron Judge, he can come up with whatever he wants. I was talking. It doesn't matter. He could have said, if he was, hell yeah, I was looking at our first base coach because that guy's tipping. I'm getting information. That's fine. That's not cheating. Like this whole concept. So here's what happened, and I swear I said it on the air, and then it happened. They're now going to play the game of that first base box, that third base box. You're not allowed out of it. We're not allowing a guy in the on-deck circle to be any place away from the on-deck circle. So it looks and sounds petty, but they're just getting back to now we figured out you had an advantage. We have to figure out how to take it away inside the rules. The rules are first base box, guy can't get out. Can't have four guys in the on-deck circle or a guy standing behind home plate trying to do whatever it is he's trying to do, timing pitches. I get what happened. It's two guys saying, "Oh yeah, I've got to protect my guys." It's two managers going back and forth. It's sort of like a fake school fight, but they have to do what they have to do. They have to let it be known publicly, I take care of my guys. And by the way, Aaron Boone, he's going to have some problems if they don't make the playoffs this year, and he's going to be gone. So you better look like a guy who knows what he's doing, but also defends his team.
Right. We'll leave it there, man. We'll let you get on to your day. But listen, always a pleasure. Everyone in India loves Domino. I'm on the phone the other day. Hey, we got to get Domino on more. So we'll probably have you on sometime next week or the week after that. We appreciate you coming on. Have a great day. My best to your family, pal.
All right, Reg. You too. Appreciate it. Thanks, bud.
All right, man. Take care. Bye-bye.